A Dodge Avenger. Not the average car you see inside the all-girls garage. But with 200,000 miles, this car just won't quit. With that kind of mileage, Bogi and Faye are bound to find broken parts. And if it's one thing we know they love, it's maintenance and repair.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to All Girls Garage. Today in the shop, we have a beautiful piece of American muscle. Okay, not really. This is a 2012 Avenger, and this was kind of back in its time, the kind of entry-level American muscle car. If you wanted a Dodge Charger but couldn't quite afford it, this was a good option for you. And it did replace the Dodge Stratus, so clearly it comes from a long lineage of badassery.
And this is normally not the type of car we have, here in the shop. Normally have the more like hobbyist, enthusiast style car. This is very much a daily driver. And daily drive it they do. It has about 200,000 hard miles on it. They just keep on trying to run this thing in the ground and it doesn't die. So they brought it to us for a little bit of maintenance today. With that kind of mileage, you can expect it has quite a lot of work that needs to be done. This is true. We're going to be doing brakes, spark plugs. We have some cosmetic things. Need some attention today as well. And motor mounts. Yes.
Can't forget the motor mounts.
Not at all.
Motor mounts are quite common, especially at this sort of mileage, if they haven't been replaced yet. And the way that you can tell when you've got bad motor mounts is basically car in drive. You're sitting at a stoplight or a stop sign, and everything is just shaking like crazy. That is your engine vibration getting transferred into you in the driver's seat because your motor mounts are bad. Good way to test them is with a trusty friend.
Ooh, that's me.
Ask her to hop in the driver's seat. She's going to step on the brake and load it up. And when she loads it up, we should see this engine shift dramatically inside the engine compartment. Make sure this is a friend you trust to actually hold the brake really tight so you don't get run over. All right, go ahead. Start it up.
Ready? Okay.
All right. Why are you honking at me? All right, load it up. Give her some gas. Load her up.
Okay. Here goes.
There we go. So see how much this engine is shifting in there every time she gives it gas? It shouldn't move that much. The motor mount should hold it much more stable in there. So it's time for these to get replaced. All right, we got it. Let's get this thing up in the air.
All right.
Supported.
Whoa, you can actually see how bad these are.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
I'd say it's broken. Watch fingers.
Okay, fingers.
Yay!
Wow,
That's that one.
That was pretty destroyed too. Oh,
All the way through? Boom!
yeah.
Now that we've got the motor mounts out, you can see how completely demolished they are. Yeah, this isn't doing any good at all. But when you look at the new one, you can see how this design is supposed to work, right? So the engine attaches to this portion of the mount, and then the mount is attached to the chassis through here. So you're not actually rigidly attaching the engine to the chassis, and you've got this rubber in here as your vibration absorber or vibration dampener. It's normal that this is kind of the weak spot. So as you have all those vibrations, it's tearing at that weak spot until it tears completely free. And then obviously now it's just rattling around all in there like crazy. The vibration that we feel inside the cab.
Absolutely, and this is really important. You want a damper like this because if you didn't have this rubber, you kind of get the exact same thing as we were feeling before with the motor mounts being totally bad. Once I actually put solid motor mounts in my Volkswagen Rabbit, and I shook the timing belt off. So there is a reason why you actually want to have these little this dampening effect. So
yeah, a lot of times race cars will have rigid mounts or really hard mounts. We did that on the montage actually.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Awful.
That's awful. But
chatter.
Anyway, well,
let's get these
shall
in.
we? Yeah. Excellent.
Oh wait, we switched. This is yours. This is mine. Give me that.
Yeah. I'm just doing this by hand. All right, so now that we've got our two lower under the car motor mounts done, we still have two more to get to up top. However, since the car is already in the air, I'm going to get to these brakes. Now, the customer had several vibrations that he was concerned about, and one is definitely coming from these warped rotors, which is why I'm performing the brake job today. As you can probably tell, there's still plenty of life left on these brake pads, about 5 millimeters left, so still like halfway through their life. However, we have to replace all of these as a full set. You shouldn't really replace pads and rotors separately from each other because they kind of mate together during the braking process. So, okay, there we go. Now that I got the caliper bracket off, there's a few things I'm going to do. Clean it up with my little brush all around this area, and then I'm going to put my new padded butt mitt clips on. I'm also going to clean out the inside of these really good and put fresh grease in there. You want to be careful using special sort of grease with this that you don't swell up that little rubber bushing, which can sort of act like a seized caliper, so that's no good. Awesome. Inside pad with the squealer tab on it. Ever so gently. Okay. Stay on autopilot mode. Definitely 35 foot-pounds. Oh yeah.
All right. So we got the brakes all wrapped up. Car's back down on the ground, and time to tackle these top mounts. We've got one on this side, one on that side. They are two different styles. So we have this lovely beast, as well as this guy. And on this side, we needed to get the airbox out of the way to gain access to it. I could have just removed this mount and let the engine hang on the other three mounts, but I always like to play it extra safe, so I've got just a floor jack under there holding everything stable while I pull this thing out. 4 bolts, pretty easy. Then we'll move on to the other side. Ha-ha! There's a hidden bolt. Oh, yay! All right. Whew. A little sandy. This one wasn't nearly as bad as the others, but you can see all the dry rot on there and how it's not far from tearing. And honestly, if you've got 1 or 2 that are torn, it's always a good idea to replace all of them. They're all the same age. If you do just the 2 that are torn, then a few months later, the other ones are going to tear. So, good idea to do them all.
Bogi's got the motor mounts handled. The next task for the girls is to fix the crack in the front bumper. With new bumpers being so expensive and sometimes hard to install, Bogi and Faye will show you how to make the fix in only a few minutes.
Hey guys, welcome back to All Girls Garage. We have our 2012 Dodge Avenger in the shop, and we just finished doing brakes and motor mounts on this. Very, very needed. And now we're turning our attention to another very needed repair. A little cosmetic repair on this bumper. He damaged it hitting some sort of...
Yeah, this is a major concern for the customer, and I find that a lot. Like, there's a bunch of mechanical things wrong, but like the customer tends to hyper-focus on something like this that is right in your face. And so this was on our long list of things that the vehicle needed. But like a lot of customers, this customer had a specific budget. So was super important to him. The more we kind of dug into this car, the more we realized it's a little bit lower down on the scale of importance in terms of how to best spend his money. So, first we looked online and we found a bumper for about $200. We're like, great. Then we started calculating in, okay, shipping it to the shop, painting it, time to take the bumper off, put a new one back on, whatever clips we break while we're in there, it was looking like about $600 to $800 on a rough estimate. We're like, you know what? That is not going to cut it. So we decided to get crafty instead. That's right. Welcome to Craft Hour with Bogi and Faye. We're going to be using this lovely epoxy.
Yeah, so you might be familiar with Gorilla Tape. This is that super, super strong tape that has 9 million uses. Well, what you might not know is that Gorilla Tape also has a bunch of other types of products that are equally strong in different applications. So for this application, we're using their 2-part epoxy. Super easy to use. It comes with this little mixing tray kind of built into how they package it. And you mix it up, It sets in like 5 minutes, fully cures in like 24 hours, and it's super, super strong. It's going to be good inside and outside, and it's going to hold up maybe even if he does hit another boar.
Or bear. Whatever he said.
Whatever it was.
All right, well, let's start prepping that surface, shall we?
Let's do it.
I love grass.
All right.
As with any adhesive, we're going to start by roughening these smooth surfaces and thoroughly cleaning and getting all that grease and dirt off so that we can, apply epoxy.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a 2-part epoxy, which means that there's 2 different components that once they mix, it'll cause itself to harden. So it's the epoxy and the hardener, or the resin and the hardener. Now, you want to hold it vertically when you pop the top of it off. And then there's a little safety catch within the syringe portion that keeps you from being able to depress it before you actually want to. That actually is going to double as your cap to seal it off after the fact. Then we're going to squeeze equal portions in. Make sure you mix it for a total of 20 seconds. You want to make sure that this stuff is really, really mixed so that the hardener can do what it's supposed to do. And then once you got it mixed, in a very short amount of time to get this thing assembled and put back together and where you want it, because it hardens fast.
Oh yeah, you can feel it. It got hot in my hands right away as I was applying it. You actually want to apply it within 5 minutes. And then we just use some Gorilla Tape to hold the bumper into shape. We've got to let it sit there for at least 30 minutes.
Yeah, although I'm pretty sure it's going to be way longer than 30 minutes because we got a lot more.
So now as our bumper is drying, I don't know if it has anything else to do with my time. And as you saw when we were underneath the car, we saw this epic oiling going on. And we didn't initially see it from the front because this engine is actually tilted back a little bit. So all that oil that's coming from this valve cover gasket leak is actually coming around. Actually, let me pull this off so you can actually see. Hold on, let's get this cover off. I'll set that aside. And you can see how the front is actually pretty dry, but as we move back towards the rear, you can see a little bit on the edge here, and it's actually just sopping wet and going down the whole backside of the engine here. So I was able to convince the customer this is something that really needed to be done. We were also able to smell some burning oil on our test drive. So as you can probably see, I'm going to have to remove these coil packs to get to the spark plugs anyways, and I will also have to do that to remove the cover. So a little bit of overlap in labor there, which is able to save the customer a little bit of money by doing both of these at the same time. And for a vehicle with 200,000 miles on it, this is extremely common. So nothing out of the ordinary. All right, I'll get to it. I like to keep these in order as best as I can.
Oh, and then nice and tight?
Yeah. Oh, see, this old tape did not hold up to the task.
It did not.
It's not acceptable. I shall repair this with the good stuff. All right.
Good job.
Yeah. That's my favorite part.
I know it is.
Yeah, that looked really promising. Yeah, oh, totally. Oh, I got it. Nice. Beautiful. Look at that. The form-in-place gasket.
Okay, watch this stuff. Fuel line. There we go. Beauteous.
Got it over here. So we've got our valve cover gasket itself, and then our spark plug tube seal.
Yes. And remember, sometimes when you get valve cover gaskets, they don't always come with the tube seals. You have to order them separately. Very important to replace them.
Ugh.
And while we can't really see where it's been leaking per se, what you can see is how brittle this rubber is.
Oh, yeah.
And
Mine just
how
snapped in half.
this should be really soft and pliable, but they want to just break in half because that's what rubber does when it's been heated up a lot. And that's what causes it to leak. So out with the old, in with the new. We'll use a little bit of silicone to seal up where that timing cover meets up with the head.
Right.
And let go.
All right.
Faye's got the new spark plugs in place and torqued down, so the valve cover is almost ready to go back on. But after the break, Bogi finds a hidden problem with coil boots that connect to the new weeks.
Getting your wheel repair after curb damage can be really expensive. So you can avoid that costly repair by not hitting curbs and with a set of Alloy Gator wheel protectors. They're manufactured with a super tough nylon and engineered to sit between the tire and the alloy to protect those rims. Alloy Gator can fit a wide range of wheels, from 12-inch all the way up to 24-inch. Of course, you're going to want to color match your vehicle, so they have 14 colors to choose from to allow you to customize it. Potholes are everywhere, so guard your wheels from those bad roads with Alloy Gator wheel protectors.
Welcome back to All Girls Garage. Bogi and I got our spark plugs installed. We've got our valve cover gasket on, our spark plug tube seals installed, and we're finishing up this valve cover gasket reseal with these lovely little grommets. So as you can see here, I've got the old grommets, and they are sort of condensed. They're squished into a shape that's not ideal. And they're kind of hard and kind of stiff. So here we've got old versus new. You can see that the new one is a lot... well, not only is it a lot taller, but it's also squishier. You can't tell that. I can just feel it. So anyways, we're going to be wrapping all these up. We'll be ready to get this installed.
Yeah, and once we do that, we've got some black silicone that we're going to apply on the head side, just at the front of it, where the timing chain cover matches up with the head. And we're going to throw a little silicone there and a little silicone right here, which is going to match up with that spot on the head. And then tighten this thing down in the proper sequence and call it a day.
Excellent.
Back in the day, you would have your coil, and then you'd have spark plug wires going to your spark plug. Well, now we've got direct coil over plugs, which means that we don't have spark plug wires. We do have coil boots, which are essentially the same thing as the spark plug wires. And they have essentially the same problems, in addition to the fact that they're subjected to a ton of heat. And so while these looked okay when we took them off, they're actually really badly heat fatigued. And just like the rubber in the valve cover gasket deteriorated, got crunchy over time, and like to break, these do that too. So when you pull your coils out, it's a good idea to check it and crack like this. You're more likely to have a misfire condition. So you can replace the whole coil, and a lot of people do that, but some manufacturers will actually make a kit where you can replace just the boots and the seals and the little springs that are making our contact. So $5 for the boot kit versus $40 to $100 for a coil, depending on a manufacturer. I'm going with rebuilding these. So I'm going to try to get these old ones off. There we go. And replace our seal. And we'll do that on all 4 of our coils. Get this back installed, and this thing should be running like a champ once we're done. Just like that.
Test drive time. Bogi and Faye check their handiwork on the Avenger. You can see the difference the motor mounts make under the hood, and the crack in the bumper is all repaired.
Why are you hesitating there, girl? You scared?
Yeah, just a little bit. This tape is so freaking strong that I'm afraid that as I pull it down, I'm just gonna rip the bumper back apart. So
don't be scared.
Okay.
It's got 3,300 psi of bond strength or something ridiculous like that. Yeah, not the tape.
Lord.
The epoxy. But maybe just to be safe, pull from the bottom.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll do it. Good recommendation, Bogi. Good recommendation. Okay, wait. Here
I'll
goes.
grab this one.
Oh my God.
We'll do it together.
I want to truth.
Unity.
Teamwork.
Look at that.
Wow.
Not bad for all that and all that. God, this is
Oh my gosh. We did a really good job lighting that up too, didn't we? Or should I say we did a good job lighting that up?
It's lovely. It was teamwork. Cosmetic repair, check. And we got all of our maintenance items done. We've got the valve cover leak taken care of, got new spark plugs, got new coils, got new brakes, and of course, the motor mounts, which is going to seriously improve the ride of this thing.
Absolutely. And hey, should I hop in and we can see what a difference is made on engine movement?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, here goes weird beat.
All right. Honk at me again. Who likes to honk at me? All right, go ahead and put it in drive. Rev her up. Look at that. Give her gas. Now when she gives it gas. So that's what they're supposed to look like when the mounts are solid. So I think this is a finished job and ready for a test drive. Except we gotta take it off the lift first.
Ah, all right. Hey, check out this nice, smooth idle.
Yeah,
no longer being
feels good.
shaken to death in my seat. Oh, I missed a nice little back massage.
All right, now let's just feel that awesome Stratus Heritage American muscle. Let's feel what it's got. You're flooring it?
I'm flooring it.
Wow, 0 to 60 in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 minutes. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
More importantly, though,
It's not that
the
bad.
braking test.
Yes, great. Ooh. The second most important thing a car can do is stop.
Well, not bad. It was nice and smooth.
It was.
I'd say we did a job well done.
All right, we did do a great job, and we've given him another couple of years out of this vehicle, hopefully.
Absolutely.
And if it were up to me, I would just drive this straight to Trade It In for
Oh.
a charger.
There's a dealership. There's a dealership right up here.
Ooh.
So. See you next time, y'all.